Clemson Tigers is my champion for the ACC. It is both of y'all's actually now that I can see it for sure as well. Do they have the biggest gap in terms of first to second, odds wise?
In the Power Four.
In the Power Four,
yes.
Yeah.
They have the biggest gap in the Power Four.
I've not really seen anyone else not pick Clemson. Why do y'all have Clemson though? What's the?
For me, it's talent. I don't actually. I wish I had pulled it up while you were talking. The number of guys they have projected to go in this year's draft is insane. The number of sophomores they have that'll be first rounders in next year's draft. It's a very talented roster. And then we did our whole conversation about Dabo and Clemson and the program and where they are in college football. But Dabo Swinney's just a very good coach. And he's got 2 national championships in his time there. So I'm sorry, I'm losing it. Chromie is already cooking over there. Yeah, I think that the way that he has this roster set up for this year, I don't know if it's going to work out and win them a championship, but I don't see anyone else winning the ACC. Not to say anyone else won't compete. Miami could certainly compete in the ACC, but I don't see anyone else winning it.
Fair. JP, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, they have championship or bust mentality, both in-house and out-of-house in the fan base. Kate Klubnik, one of the Heisman favorites, top 5 draft pick candidate. Receivers are going to be great with TJ Moore, Bryant Wesco, Antonio Williams. Running back is a big question there, which I think is the only concern for me right now, as both a Tiger fan and as a person who's going to pick Clemson to be in the national championship game. Adam Randall transferred from receiver in the team to running back at the end of last year. He's more than likely going to be the starting running back. They do expect to get Jay Haynes back at some point, who is a talented freshman last year who tore his ACL in the ACC championship. And he's expected to come back and play as a sophomore this year. It's in some kind of backup role. And they hope to see the explosiveness from him there. Sure. Defensively, this is a Clemson defense with TJ Parker, Wyatt Woodaz. The linebacker group is great. The defensive line is great. The biggest question for them is going to be in the secondary this year again. They kind of got tore apart in the secondary, and there's some good passing offenses in the ACC. I will say in the ACC, there are many ways for Clemson to even miss the conference championship game. Miami, it would be really hard for Miami to not be in the conference championship game because their ACC schedule is ridiculously easy. They don't play Clemson. They play SMU, and they don't play Georgia Tech. So they literally they'll play Louisville, but they'll host Louisville. They go to SMU, and that's really it for a tough game perspective for Miami. I will say, though, they play 7 straight weeks to end the season. The last 2 are on the road at Virginia Tech, at Pittsburgh, which will both be 30-degree weather for a Miami football team. And if they were to make the ACC championship, that'd be 8 straight weeks, and it's probably going to be cold in Charlotte. It almost always is for the ACC championship.
Sure.
So that's a potential challenge for Miami. But the path is Miami is going to go undefeated in the ACC, more than likely. Then it's SMU, Georgia Tech. And if Clemson stumbles in either of those, they'll lose the head-to-head, and Georgia Tech and SMU can both go 7-1 in the conference, and Clemson could be out of the ACC championship.
Which would be crazy.
And that is very crazy, considering how dominant they are in the ACC and have been since Dabo Swinney joined the conference. Really, Florida State's been the only other pressure in the conference for an extended period of time. So there's some concern there, which I'm actually less confident about them winning the ACC than I am about them making the semifinals.
Okay.
How do you feel about their out-of-conference matchups with LSU and South Carolina? Because if they drop one of those Georgia Tech or SMU games, and then all of a sudden your 2 SEC losses, which the SEC is a good conference, you're 2 losses away from being 9-3 again.
I'm less worried about that because that's not kind of been Clemson's MO. Now, it kind of has been in recent memory because, the Georgia game destroyed last year. They lose the South Carolina game as well. Even you go back to the year after COVID, they lost the Notre Dame game at Notre Dame. So they haven't been quite as dominant in those high-profile games. They lost the Georgia game as well with DJ Uyonglele. But I feel good about those because, one, they host LSU at home. I think that makes a massive difference, especially for week one, where both teams don't know their identity. And so with the home crowd behind Clemson, I think they're going to win that game and cover. It shouldn't have much of a problem there. And then the South Carolina game, South Carolina hasn't won the Palmetto Bowl in Columbia since 2013.
Yeah.
Now South Carolina has been good in that extended period, and Clemson has been excellent. But that has kind of been how
Sure.
it's been. That's kind of just the story of the rivalry right now, and I expect them to, clean up there. Although as we'll learn later, I'm really high on South Carolina this year, but I have a reason for that. I'm less worried about those games than I am for
Yeah.
the slip-up, because that is something that they do.
Sure.
Last year, Louisville, the year they won the national championship with Deshaun Watson, they lose to Pittsburgh at home. So this is a team that can lose those kind of profile games. So I'm more worried about hosting SMU, and especially late in the season for Clemson. I'm worried, going to Louisville in Week 12. That's going to be a really tough game, I think.